Joining me now to discuss is Robert Riggs. He's a Middle East geopolitical risk consultant. Good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good morning.
So let's begin with Blinken now arriving in the Middle East yet again, now for an eighth time to push for a ceasefire. What are Blinken's major challenges on this trip?
Well, I think that the challenges he faces are the same ones he's faced in other 7 or 8 trips he's made there since October 7th, which is the major disagreement on the end goal of the negotiations between Hamas, which wants to see the end of the war, this lead immediately to an end of the war and a withdrawal of the Israeli troops, and the Israeli government under Netanyahu, which are demanding the destruction of Hamas completely and forever and a total win of the war and the release of hostages. And so if Blinken is able to find a way to get these two sides to communicate with each other in a way that's going to bridge that gap, then it's possible to reach a conclusion. But I'm not confident of that.
And what does it mean now that Benny Gantz has left? Does it have any impact on where the ceasefire talks go?
Well, I don't know that Gantz's leaving is going to have any impact on the ceasefire itself, but it's possible in the sense that now Netanyahu's government is only holding 64 out of the 120 seats in the Knesset. And so those 64 seats that they're holding to keep the government in place are mostly on the far right. And so if Netanyahu doesn't cater to what his hard right ministers want, it's likely that, which is not a ceasefire proposal, then he may lose power.
Lose power. All right. So the U.S. is also asking the UN Security Council for the latest ceasefire resolution. There's also talk this morning about the U.S. potentially, if you will, hopscotching over Israel and dealing directly with Hamas to get their hostages freed. Where do you see things going then when it comes to the U.S. position?
Well, this is the interesting thing about what Biden has been trying to do. On the one hand, he has been giving ironclad support to Israel throughout this war, shipments of weapons and strategic help with intelligence and so on and so forth. But at the same time, he presented this ceasefire proposal as if it was a fait accompli from the Israeli side, as if it was an Israeli proposal. And then a lot of grumbling bubbled up on the Israeli side saying, well, we don't really agree with all parts of this, which is already kind of end up doing an end run around Israel to try to get to a deal, which then begs the question, is Biden doing this because of election interests in the United States and the fact that he's losing many votes on the Democratic side because of this war? Or is it just that he's trying to place maximum pressure on both sides to get this war ended just on the face of it? So that's what's going on there, I think.
All right. So to round this out, let's again conclude with Blinken in the region. Robert, what would you see as a major accomplishment for him while he is in the region for the next couple of days? What would that look like?
I think to call it a major accomplishment, Blinken would need to get the Rafah crossing open to aid, which is probably why he's in Egypt. He would need to get the Israeli and the Hamas sides back to the table because Hamas hasn't responded to the proposal that Biden put forward more than a week ago. And he would also need to see some movement in those negotiations and probably some public statement from Netanyahu in support of that. I know that's a big ask, but I think that's what you could call a success for Blinken at this point.
Robert Riggs is a Middle East geopolitical risk consultant. Robert, thanks again.